wherever you are, grab your water, grab your coffee, get your tea, get your kombucha, because things are about to get a little fizzy today. We have a very special guest lined up. Vivian Cobb is an award-winning speaker, author, conversation advocate who helps people find the courage to talk about what truly matters, even when it's uncomfortable. So, without any further ado, let me welcome our master conversationalist, Miss Diana Gonzalez. Whoosh.
Hello, thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us Life and in Between. Thank you, Patrick, for that wonderful introduction. Yes, we have the amazing Vivian Cobb. She is an award-winning speaker, author, and conversation advocate to help people find courage and talk about what truly matters, especially when it's the uncomfortable conversation. She's there. After the sudden loss of her husband, and the financial crisis that followed Vivian, Vivian transformed her path, her pain into purpose by helping others and to avoid the unspoken costs of silence around money and emotions. She's also appeared on TEDx. She's a TEDx speaker, a storyteller, upcoming author of Unspoken Costs, How to Have a Relationship Saving Money conversations. She's inspired audience. She's inspired me. I mean, I have seen some of her work, and she's incredible. And it's just truly an honor to have her here. Thank you so much, Vivian, for joining us today. And I know I covered some things, but can you please also share some things about yourself that I have not covered?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for having me as your guest today. I appreciate the opportunity to support your podcast and also talk about what I do and given this opportunity. So thank you for that. Let's see what else to know about me. I love to travel uh, and have conversations all over the world. That I think that's how we expand our in between in our life, right? We go out and experience the world, other cultures, other people, listen to other people's stories, and that inspires us and keeps us motivated in our own lives. I'm also the mother of three wonderful grown children at this point, and I just adore them. They are my why.
That's amazing. Wonderful. I love hearing that. I know there was something that I did want to go ahead and ask you. And I know you've spoken about courage and having those tough conversations, those really difficult conversations, and we need to have those. What initially drew you to start this, having those hard conversations, if you don't mind sharing?
Absolutely. Well, it's kind of what I am absolutely passionate about and why I'm writing the book that I'm writing and why I speak. And my keynote is all about having conversations and having the courage because I didn't in my own life. And I think there are a lot of opportunities lost, depth that we could add to our lives, intimacy that we can add to our lives when we have those hard conversations. And what happens instead is we run from them and we're afraid of them. And I talk about fear and how fear holds us back from being truly vulnerable and transparent, which actually leads to connection and intimacy. So I'm very passionate about that.
You're so right on that. I think that's where when you have those deep conversations is when you actually make those connections. Um, from your experience, and I love the fact that you said because it makes those deep connections. There's so many people that feel so uncomfortable in
Mhm.
having those deep conversations. Are there any techniques for people that are out there that are listening that you have learned through your experience of how to break through to those people that just kind of want to shut down and they're not ready to have those deep conversations?
Right. Yeah, actually, that's what my book is about, how to have those conversations. But just to give you an idea, people think that it should just flow and be natural and that why can't I just blurt it out how I feel or whatever? But there is an art to communication, and having productive and healthy communication. I think our experiences have been that when we have tried to communicate, we've gotten resistance or pushback. And like you said, that shuts people down. And then they're afraid to ever speak or bring that topic up again. So the trick is to learn how to do it effectively and in a caring, loving way, as opposed to running in like a bull in a china shop and, you know, saying how you feel in a moment of anger or frustration. And that just sets the tone completely wrong and creates conflict. So if you can take a breath before you start speaking, calm down, take a breath, do the inner work that you need to do and figure out why you feel that way. It's all about emotions and feelings. And if you can get a handle on that, then you can approach the subject in a much more peaceful and concise way that isn't going to hurt the other person. Because when you go in with daggers or,
Right.
bullets or whatever, you're hurting the other person and then they're going to shut down. So there is really an art to it, and you just have to learn that. And in my book, and there are many, many books out there on effective communication. So definitely learn. If you aren't in therapy and don't know about I statements and other tips and tricks, you can go on the internet and learn it. You can read books. You can ask Chat GPT to tell you about it. I mean, there are so many resources on how to approach a difficult conversation. But I highly recommend that you do that so that you can have those conversations, because otherwise they stand in the way of your progress of being in a truly open, loving, intimate relationship.
I love that. I love that because I think that you said it, you actually really summed it up. It's communication is an art, and
Mhm.
you just have to learn it, you know,
Yeah,
and,
like
and
anything else, you have to learn how to do math. You have to learn how to,
yes,
knit.
I
And
love
we
that.
just assume because we have words that we've learned that we're going to know how to put them in the right order at the right time with the right expression. And it's just not true. It is a learned activity as well.
Absolutely. I'm going to circle back on your book in a second, but there's some, because I really want to dive into talking about your book. But there's some things that I did want to go ahead and kind of before we got to your book portion. I know that publicly, you're very transparent. You have shared a lot, and I think it's helped a lot of people heal. And one of the things that you have shared was the loss of your husband and how deeply and personal that life-changing experience happened. Um, can you, if you don't mind, can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that we have listeners out there that are right now feeling the loss of a loved one
Hmm. Well, that
and how
is
to cope with it. I'm sorry.
a huge topic for sure. There's so many layers. I think for me, my story and the reason that I now talk about communication and having the conversations is because not only did I lose my husband, but were in a financial crisis that I didn't know about. So I was blindsided by that as well. So I lost my husband, and then I ended up losing my house. I lost my lifestyle. I didn't have any money. I had no credit. I mean, it was awful. It was a horrible time in my life. So I had the grief of him dying,
Mhm.
and then the grief of losing pretty much everything else materially in my life.
Right.
That's called compound grief. But grief is such a personal journey. And until you've actually gone through it, if you haven't really lost somebody in your life that is an someone you're very close to, like a parent,
Mhm.
sibling, child, spouse, whatever, it's hard to be empathetic. You can sympathize with that person, but you can't really know the depth of that. And I want to tell the people out there who are grieving that they need to be around people who know exactly how they feel. And so find those people, go to grief groups. And I know it's hard. You think, oh, I don't want to be around other people who are, no, it actually is very helpful to just be in the same space with people who know exactly how you feel. And you don't even have to talk, you don't even have to say it out loud. You just know that they know and they know that you know. And that is very healing because the people who don't know are trying to be helpful and saying, but they're saying things that are just like not helpful. Like you'll get over it or move on or it just takes a little time. It's none of that is really true. Grief has its own timeline. It has no timeline. Some people, it just depends on the situation, how long it's going to take you to, and you'll never get over it. That's another misnomer, right? Oh, you'll get over it someday. No, you will never get over it. It is now a part of you and has shaped you into who you are.
That's so powerful that what you said that it's shaped you, and you use that grief, which is one of the things that I admire so much about you. As I found more and more, as I dug a little bit deeper in doing my research on you, you use that grief to help others, to send a message, which is
Yeah.
incredible. And I think the message there is many people deal with loss differently. You empowered yourself in helping others, and that's amazing. I love that.
Well,
Um,
I think, like you said in my intro, I went through so much pain that I just felt like I needed to turn the pain into purpose. I needed to have meaning.
it's amazing.
And
That's
helping
amazing.
others is the best thing I can do with that because there are a lot of people out there hurting and not knowing where to turn. And I certainly didn't. I didn't know where to turn. I was only 51 years old when he died. I was pretty young for a widow. And
Right.
my friends were not capable. And it's another part about losing somebody and grieving is that you end up losing a lot of friends because they don't know what to do and they let their fear get in the way of being there for you. It's amazing. And I think a lot of people out there would know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, not funny, but it's kind of funny that you should say that because it's people distance themselves. Like I don't know if you felt because I've had also loss
Oh,
and as yourself and you find that people feel like it's contagious or something and
I think,
they I'm sorry, go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you.
Or it's that they just feel so out of place that they just don't know what to say or they don't want to deal with those overwhelming emotions that they
Mhm.
just have to distance themselves. And before you know it, you find that this person that you were once so close to, you're now so far away, like you're no longer best buddies or anything like that. So
Yeah, and
uh, uh,
that circles back to where I started to be with the people who know. And you're right, that's exactly what happens. You're living their worst nightmare, right? Their biggest fear is that they're going to lose their husband or they're going to lose their child or whatever. And there you are, that person in their life who is going through that and they cannot handle their own stuff. And so they back off. I had friends that disappeared for 2 or 3 years and then later came back and said, I'm sorry, I wasn't there for you. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. And I understand that to a certain point, but sometimes we have to go beyond ourselves, right? And we have to
yes,
step,
you
and
can.
that's where we're talking about stepping out of our comfort zone. Sometimes we have to step out of our comfort zone to be there for other people. But some people just can't do it. But that tells you who your real friends are, right? It's, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Well, sometimes the exact opposite happens. A friend in need is somebody you run from. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's an interesting thing to witness the fallout when somebody loses somebody because it's a ripple effect. It really is.
Yes.
And people don't realize that until they're in it.
Exactly, exactly. What advice would you give walking through that journey yourself? And you felt it firsthand, how people felt, just kind of distanced themselves. What advice would you give to the person that hasn't experienced that grief yet? They haven't walked into your shoes. What recommendations would you give that person and how to handle a situation? What are the things that you would have liked to hear from them instead of.
I think it's less about hearing from them than them just being there, just holding space for you,
Mm,
letting you cry.
mm,
People
right.
get really uncomfortable when people cry in front of them. And I have a whole speech about that. That's a tragedy because crying is such a necessary part of being human. And actually, it's proven that crying is more powerful than laughing as far as healing. And we have different chemicals depending on which tears we are shedding. I mean, it's quite a science. And when people start to laugh, they don't usually say "I'm sorry," but every time somebody starts to cry, they apologize, "I'm sorry." And I would love to see that completely change in our culture and our society. However, back to the original question, and that is just let the person cry in front of you, hold them or hold space for them, or don't try and fix anything. There's nothing to fix. What's done is done. Their person is gone, and that hurts. And just let them hurt in front of you, and don't try and come up with quippy little stupid sayings. And it doesn't. It just makes it worse. So if you don't know exactly what to say, if you haven't researched the things you say to grieving people, just keep your mouth shut and just
Listen.
be there for them. Just be, if you can possibly let that happen.
Yes. Sometimes just placing your hand or a hug is enough.
Is
That
enough.
hug is
Absolutely.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love
that's
that. I
that's
love that.
my advice. But if
That's
you
great advice.
really want to help the person and you don't know how, again, there is so much literature, resources on what you can do for somebody who's grieving. And it's not, "I'm
Beautiful.
sorry for your loss." And it's not, "You'll get over it," or "Just give it time," or "Let's go find you someone new." I had somebody actually say that to me two
Mm.
months after my husband died. "We got to find you a new man." And it was horrific. So don't do that kind of stuff.
Yes. These are the do nots. Do
This
not
is
do
the do
that.
not
Wow.
list.
Wow. Yes. Wow. You just like left yeah, 2 months and you just like left me speechless.
People sometimes they just don't think things through.
That's very, very true. That's so true. Um, Now I know that I want to talk a little bit about the rebuilding. Now, your upcoming book, and this is where I want to kind of go into your upcoming book, The Unspoken Costs. Can you talk a little bit about that and what inspired it? Can you tell me what inspired you and what do you hope your readers, when they go ahead and purchase that, will take away from that book?
Okay, lot to unpack there.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I'm about 2 days away from turning in my final draft to the editor. So I'm very, very excited about this. But it's also been quite the journey. I actually wanted to start my first book that I wanted to write was my story from start to finish, from meeting my husband and our love affair, and then, of course, him dying, and then my rebuilding. So that is the next book coming. But
Okay.
I literally could not write that book. It was too hard.
Okay.
And so I decided to write the one that I'm writing right now, Unspoken Costs, because it's more practical and a little bit removed from my story. Although I write a lot of story in this guidebook. So you will get pieces of my story. And and that drives why I wrote the book. But what the if I was to boil it all down, I did not have financial conversations with my husband. We did not have financial intimacy that way. And because of that, when he died very quickly, I was the one holding the bag. I was the one left with the disaster, the financial crisis, blindsided by that. And it was all because we didn't have a conversation. And it sounds so easy on paper, right? It's like, well, why not? Well, there's a ton of why not. Like societal conditioning between men and women, fear, our own money story, our own money beliefs. And I talk about all of that and why it prevents us from having the conversation. And then I go into getting ways to get past that and face your fears and have those constructive conversations. So that is why I wrote the book, because not having a conversation affected my life so profoundly. I don't want that to happen to other couples. If there's anything I can do to help prevent that from happening, that's why I wrote the book.
Okay. When you were saying that about the conversations, I actually know a few friends that haven't had those tough conversations, and I want to gift them the book. I mean, it's like the book is to, even, and I think it would be a wonderful gift for us that know people that are in those situations, not even for ourselves, but also for others, that it's a gentle way of saying, you need to have, this is a really great book. I think you should read this because, it's important.
Yeah, and I go into a lot of detail of, what I went through and how horrific it was and how easily that could have been prevented had he just given me an indication of that's what was going to happen so that I wasn't having to wrap my head around grieving him and trying to survive all at the same time. But there's a reason why he didn't tell me. And that's because he was afraid and he was
Mm.
ashamed that he had gotten us in that position. So it's so much more than just, oh, you need to have that conversation. Of course, everybody knows they need to have that conversation. Of course, they know. But why don't they? And that's what I really explore in the book and try and
Mm.
give ideas on how to get past that so that you will have the conversation and reinforce why it's so important. Because 1 in 5 people drop dead uh, every year, or what, I can't remember the statistic exactly, but in America. And so the likelihood of your spouse dying in an accident or dropping dead of a heart attack is 1 in 5. And so it's like, this could happen. This is real. And if you don't know what your assets are, or what your debt is, or what your passwords are, or any of that
Oh,
stuff. If
yes.
you don't know any of that, and the person who does know just dropped dead, you are in a world of hurt. And so that's what I'm trying to prevent from happening.
Oh my gosh. Like you like when you said that it just awakened something in me. Like I just thought about this. Like not only are you dealing with you have to do the preparations and everything, the funeral, the arrangements and all, but now you got to deal with all the financial aspects and then you got to search for passwords, go through the banks, you reset things, go and those extra steps while
Mhm.
you're dealing with pain, loss, hurt, and you got to also deal with this. So that is very important, simply having those passwords. When you said that, passwords, how many people can say, and I'm thinking of that because I was having a conversation with my sister the other day, and she tells her husband handles all the financials, and this is one of the people I have to gift this book to.
Yes, yes, it is.
And so, and it was one of those things like, no, he handles everything. Like he handles everything. And I'm like, but what it, and I didn't want to, now that we're talking about this, yeah, what if something were to, and God, God forbid, and we don't wish anything upon, but
No, of
where's
course
she
not.
going to be? She's dealing with all, where do I start? How do I find
Mhm.
and taking it to the banks and the death certificates and dealing with all these yeah, additional stuff. So I'm glad that you said that. So for listeners that are out there listening, I mean, as simple as a password to access your accounts. You don't have access to that. Those are extra steps for you to go ahead and when that all could be prevented.
Yeah,
Um,
it
yeah.
really can be prevented. Yeah, it takes a little bit of legwork. It takes some vigilance, to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. But once it's done, and you can relax and not have that, hanging over your head. And that also is a huge step towards being more connected, right?
Mm.
And yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot involved, psychologically, emotionally, and practically. So yeah, and I try and touch on all that through telling my story of how what I went through and how it impacted me. Yeah.
Um, Vivian, I wanted to ask you a question. So, what patterns, I mean, have you seen any patterns in couples or individuals that reflect fear or avoidance in when it comes to money? Like they just
Patterns.
like patterns or like I
Yeah.
guess yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, the pattern is like, I think the best word you just use is avoidance. They just don't even go there. They literally just don't go there, which is crazy. Because here they are building a financial future together. They're dreaming together. We want to buy a house one day. We want to go on this vacation one day. But they don't talk about how they're going to get there. What do they need to do spending or saving wise to achieve that goal? Because they're afraid that if they are critical, like, well, you buy too many Starbucks coffees or you buy too many shoes or whatever, that they're going to start a fight. And so they just don't say anything, which is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So when you think about it, right? But it happens in every relationship on some level or not. So the pattern is avoidance, but the other pattern I think that's really common is that if somebody does try to say something, like you get a your credit card bill and the partner says, "Oh, what's this? Why'd you buy that?" Just
Mm,
that tone or questioning makes the other person defensive, and it's like it can start a fight. And so people are really scared to say anything. And that's what, again, what I talk about in my book, how to approach that with a different mindset, right? To say, I saw you bought this. I'm really curious. What was it for? Can you tell me about it? As opposed to, why the heck did you buy this? What? This is way too, you spend way too much money. You know, if you attack somebody, so there's ways of starting that conversation gently. And I talk a lot about being curious, going in with the mindset of curiosity instead of accusing or defensiveness. Just curious. I'm curious. Why
Right.
did you buy that?
Love that. That's
And
a great approach.
yeah, so those are probably the two, just, but avoidance is number one for sure. They just don't even know where to start, so they don't say anything. And then, year turns into 10 years. And they really don't know what's going on with each other or how they feel or think about money. And money carries a huge amount of values. We have a lot of value around money. And somebody
Yeah.
might have a feeling of, I want to spend it while I have it. And the other person it's like, we need to save everything for the rainy days. And so now you have two money values that are in conflict with each other, and they have to find a way to find the middle ground and say, okay, how can we spend money so that you're happy, and how can we save money so I'm happy? There's always a solution, but it takes a conversation.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. So I just want to let the listeners know that this is a book for everyone to buy, and it doesn't matter what age you are, because this can be anyone, or whether you're married or single. Um, this applies to you, or whether you're in a relationship or not. These are important things that, we need to have those conversations. I wanted to ask you a question in regards to, can you share a moment when that you saw, or maybe someone might have shared with you, or even yourself, where you had that really tough conversation about money? Because I know you're talking about having that conversation, and it changed everything. Like, it literally changed. Because I have one to share as well, but I would like to hear if you have one.
I have not been in a coupleship since my husband died, and it's been 14 years. But in my next version of the book, I am going to kind of chicken soup it. I'm going to do a follow-up book between intergenerational parents to children, because that comes up a lot, especially with the aging population. And the boomers are very set in their ways and are very influenced by the conditioning of the 1960s and 50s. And so they don't talk about money. Not only not with each other, but they sure the heck aren't going to talk about money with their kids. So I have taken what I've learned about having conversations about money, and I've taken it to my children, because I don't want to do to them what happened to me in my marriage, right? I want them to have it so easy. So I have spent the last probably 10 years working on making sure that it will be seamless when I pass, for them to know exactly where everything is, all the passwords, all my assets, everything. And so I've sat them down and I've talked to them about it. And it was uncomfortable. It really was, because especially kids, they're like, oh, Mom, you're not gonna die. You're never gonna die. Well, that's not true. I am gonna die one day. And so you have to get past that discomfort of talking about, because you are having to face your mortality. That's another part of the fear, right? It's like people don't want to think about dying, but it's not about thinking about dying. It's about thinking about the gift and the love that you're going to leave the people that you love. And the best thing you can do is to be prepared so that they aren't struggling to try and figure things out. Because if you keep everything in your head and you die, all that dies with you. So that's, to me, my example of my money talk making a huge difference. And I think it's really helped us just be really comfortable about that topic and helped them relax knowing that things are taken care of and they'll know what to do. It's the biggest gift you can give.
I love the way you said that. It's the biggest gift. And I think that's the best thing that a person can actually really view this is gifting the people that we love
Right.
and not leaving them a burden, gifting them that. And so that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. And I'm looking forward to that next book that you're gonna write about because it's really good. It's an important topic. And I actually, prior to meeting my husband, my second husband, it was my second marriage, I was a financial mess. He's a planner. And so and he actually taught me to really think about the future, think about the savings and what happens after we die so that so we don't leave that burden to others, like, my children and all that. And then, and when you talked about this book, because I kind of like, I said, boy, this is a really great book because I've had those conversations with my boys, and my boys, one of my boys is a collector, and he has items that he collects, rare books, and he has all these items, and he's had those conversations. Mom, if I were to go before you, I need you to understand the value of what I have, my assets. And so, and those are important conversations because unfortunately we're all going to go. I mean, we're going to transition to our next, we're going to pass on, but we don't know when, and some will leave sooner than others. And so I think that that conversation of having with our children, our loved ones, is very, very important because we just don't know. We really, honestly.
Absolutely. It's not about being morbid, it's just being practical.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And it's just kind of, um, I mean, I really love everything that you have that we're talking about. And um, I wanted to ask you, for many of our listeners right now, they're right now kind of saying, how do I start this conversation? Where do I begin? Or how do I start this? And I just kind of want to say, start with your book.
I would agree with that.
So tell me a little bit about when is your book going to be released and where can people find it? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, our launch date is January 4th. Uh, and pre-launch and pre-orders start the first week of December. Yeah, so it's coming right up. uh, my uh, they can reach me through, I'm all over social media, but I have a website called havethoseconversations.com. I'll say it again, havethoseconversations.com. And they can go to my website. There is a contact form there. And if they fill out that contact form and just say your book, I will put them on the list and I will send out an email when it's ready for pre-orders. I am working on having a page on my website that will take care of all of that, but as of right now, that's not up yet. But if they want to reach me and just tell me they want my book, I'm happy to put them on the list, and I'll send them information as soon as I have exact dates.
And wow, this is actually really great because it's coming for the holidays. Upcoming holidays, they can purchase books for loved ones, for everyone. And I think the book is friendly for everyone. Like, I mean, this is a book that everyone can use. And then you can put like a nice little, I'm one of those creative people that I will send coming soon, a nice little, like a stocking stuffer kind of thing coming soon, and with a nice detail, cover of the cover, if you have like a cover of the book and everything coming soon to you, and just kind of put it as a little stocking stuffer. And people, who doesn't love gifts after Christmas? I do.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, the
That's
cover is almost done, so that will be published. So they would actually have something that they could stick in a stocking, or even wrap in a little box or something like that. So yeah.
and then just, yeah, I love that coming soon. So can and so I just wanted to ask you a question in regards to just kind of circling back of what have you discovered about yourself in this journey? Everything, you personally and professionally. So this is a two-part question.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little, what do you discovered about yourself personally first, and then we'll talk about professional.
The dang girl. That's a how much time do we have?
Okay.
Personally, hmm. I I am not the same person I was 14 years ago. I can tell you that right now. A lot smarter, a lot wiser, stronger. I think this experience really showed me how strong and resilient a human I am.
Mm,
I It's been quite the journey. Um, and I think that's the beauty of hard things that happen to us, is
mm.
that it really gives us an opportunity to rise up and dig deep and be the best version of ourselves. I've also learned I'm very emotional. And I cry a lot, and I'm okay with that. It's okay to cry. Like I said before, I've been through a lot of pain, and sometimes that pain just wants to break through, and I let it. I just let it, and I've learned that that's okay. It's who I am, and I'm not ashamed of it. So, but I just the strength and and my capability of resilience. That's what I've learned. My son said I'm unstoppable, and that was the most incredible compliment that I could ever thought of to get, and especially from my child, that I'm modeling for them being unstoppable, and just pushing through and doing what has to be done, no matter how much it hurts. And I'm very proud of that. So I learned that. Professionally, I learned that I love writing. I've always loved writing, but now I'm actually writing a book, which I've wanted to do my entire life. I wrote some children's books back in the 90s, never published them. So the fact that I'm this close to birthing this book is such an incredible step for me in my life, and I'm very proud of that. And I've learned that I'm an incredible storyteller. I'm really good on stage. I love to speak on stage because I have the ability to inspire people and to get people to think just a little bit differently through my storytelling. And it's a gift. And I'm really, really glad that I discovered that gift in this time of my life, and that I can make a difference. That's really important to me.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yes, yes.
So
Oh,
professionally, I'm
precious.
really glad that I've had that opportunity. So
Oh gosh, this is beautiful. Um, Thank you, first of all, for sharing your story and the fact that your son said you're unstoppable. That's incredible too. When your children see you in a certain way in that light, and it's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love that. I just want to say that you are absolutely right because I'm a very emotional person. I cry too as well, and it's okay to cry. We can
it is.
cry, and it's good. It's
Cry.
healthy. Cry.
Cry, baby,
Anchor.
cry.
Yes.
I wrote an article called exactly that. Cry, baby, cry. So
Really? Okay.
yeah,
Okay. Yes. It's
I
a
write a column on top of my writing my book. So I have a lot of, and I'm on Substack. So if somebody wants to read my articles on Substack, I'm there.
okay.
Yeah. I'm all over the place, girl.
You're all over the place. So if I wanted to go find, you said Substacks that you're on.
Substack.
Okay, okay, and
And
they
I'm
just look for your name.
yeah, and I have a YouTube channel. I'm on YouTube.
Okay.
Like you said, I've done a TEDx talk. I've done two actually, but they only published one. Uh, yeah, so I'm all over the place. So if somebody really wants to dig deeper with me or contact me, if they go to my website and fill out that contact form, and I'm happy to send them whatever they want to know about me. Like you said in the beginning, I'm very transparent. Uh, yeah.
I love that. I love that. Um, I did want to ask you, and this is a question that I've asked myself, and I want to ask this question to you. How do you define resilience now? Now that you're gone through this to what was before you experienced this loss, everything that you've.
Okay. I didn't really understand your question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay,
Want
so
me?
so I know.
Go ahead.
So, Vivian, the woman that you are today after experiencing the loss, your definition of resilience is different from the woman that was prior. Or what I wanted, because can you share the difference between that definition of resilience for you, the woman before and the
Mhm.
woman after what you've experienced? And did that change or was it the same definition?
I think it's just been ratcheting up. uh, because before I married my husband, and it was my second marriage as well, and I was a single mom with three kids. And so I had to go
Mm,
through that part of my life. And I thought I was resilient back then, but what I went through after my husband died and all the financial stuff, that was a whole new level of resiliency that I had to go through. So I think the term might be the same in that it's going through and learning from whatever experience that you're going through and making lemonade from the lemons that you're given. But I think what I learned in the second part of that is just the depth of it, that you can go even deeper into chaos in your life, things that you don't even imagine, number one, or that you think you could never survive, that you could never make it through. And yet you do. You just do. Because what's the alternative? And I know what the alternative is. And I would never go there. I would never stop what I'm trying to do.
right.
And some people make that choice. No judgment. But as far as resilience is concerned, it's just finding within yourself. And of course, your belief system, and I mean, everybody has a different faith belief
Yes.
system, and whatever that is for you, and being around the people who do support you, the friends that are there for you. I mean, I couldn't have done any of this alone. And I know that. There are some very key people who were there for me, and we need that. We need community when we are going through stuff.
Yes.
And
Yes. Love that.
absolutely. And find those people. Gravitate to the people who are going to really support you no matter what you're going through. Like, I had friends loan me money, and just the fact that they believed that I would pay them back one day was enough. It was enough belief in me that I was strong enough to get to that place of being completely devastated financially and them believing that I would be able to pay them back one day. That said a lot to me. That was a vote of confidence. And I took
Yeah.
that vote of confidence and I ran with it. That's what I'm talking about.
Those mini blessings, those blessings that just come and they give you that strength.
Right. Exactly. And that helps you be resilient. That helps you dig even deeper. So find those people and that community that's going to support you. And I'm not talking about just somebody's going to give you a handout. That doesn't help. Just getting a handout doesn't help. It's the belief that you can do it. That is what helps. That's what makes all the difference in the world.
It's beautiful. Yeah, you're absolutely right on that. Vivian, you are your story, and I know you have a lot more that you have not unpacked because you have um, a, a, you have lived many lives, many creative lives.
Yeah.
You are you in
I don't know what that's about.
and it's you have like all these wonderful lessons and like and speaking of like many creative lives, like you lived in film,
Mhm.
real estate, right? Writing and in speaking, you've been on you're a motivational speaker. How do you see all of those versions of yourself connecting now? Like all those versions of you, and that you got to this point today. How do those versions of yourself connecting now today? All those, your real estate person, your writer, your speaker, you're in film, motivational speaker, everything.
Yeah.
Um,
I think for as far as the real estate part, that was the nuts and bolts of how I made my money back, right? Uh, and so I value that, but that's not really who I am. And I'm actually stepping away from real estate. I'm semi-retired at this point and putting all my effort into the writing and the speaking, going traveling the world and speaking. That's really the goal. Uh, my background is film. I got my degree in radio, television, film, which is really funny now that everything I learned in college, everybody's doing with their iPhone. And it's a whole new level. So it's really funny to have watched that through my lifetime morph into where it is today. But I love having that background because it makes me able to do things that I want to do in that realm as far as, video clips and reels and all that kind of stuff. I'm really comfortable with that. And this, I've always kind of been a little bit of an entertainer. Even when I was a little kid, I would put on shows for my parents. And so I'm definitely a creative. I mean, I just am. I've always been that way. And all of that is just accumulated into where I am exactly right now. And knowing that this is exactly where I need to be. Exactly where I need to be. Speaking, writing, sharing my message, turning the pain into purpose, and helping other people. That, I mean, I'm at the absolute top of any dream that I could have ever had. And that's the other thing that I want people to remember about the in between in our lives. None of this person who's sitting here right now and what I'm accomplishing, none of it would have happened if my husband had stayed alive. So I'm a true believer that as tragic as that incident was, and as much as I went through, it's for a reason. And I am a believer of turning and looking and finding the good in no matter what happens, no matter how tragic it feels at the time, that somehow good will come of it eventually. Of course, we have to make that happen, right? And there's that resilience piece again, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I would be a completely different person if if he had stayed alive, and I would have been a housewife and happily married, and you know, it would have just been, I would have never been this person. So we just don't know, right? We talked about that earlier. We just don't know what is going to happen, and that's why it's so important to be curious and have wonder at every step of the way, because life is going to happen. Death is going to happen, and we just have to keep
Yes.
going and building the best versions of ourselves along the way.
Wow, that's powerful, and you're absolutely right. I find this is incredible. I wish, we were live because I'm sure people would be asking questions and all that. I do want to ask you, and I know we're getting very close to wrapping it up soon. But I did want to ask you a question. How can listeners connect with you and your work? I know that you gave a little bit, but like any other social medias? I know you mentioned YouTube, any kind of handles that they can contact you, or any emails that you would prefer for them to reach out and contact you on?
Well, my email is Vivian at viviancobbspeaking.com. And I'm sure you'll put that in the notes so they have that.
Yes.
My YouTube channel is called Vivian Cobb Speaks. I have Facebook. Uh, they can look me up on Facebook as well. I've got a personal page, I've got a professional page. I'm working on an author page, so if they want to Google or search me on Facebook, they'll probably find me there. I'm on LinkedIn. I love connecting on LinkedIn. All you have to do is again type in my name, Vivian Cobb, and I'll come up. Um, so yeah, I think they can find me almost anywhere. So
Fantastic. And any final words that you have for our listeners, and that you would like to share? Any life in between words of wisdom that you would like to share?
yeah, just I think again, I've already said it, but it's worth saying again. No matter what happens to you, and things will happen to you, it's a given. It just is a given. Your life is not going to go the way you think or dream or plan it to go. It will somewhat, but there's always going to be a curveball. And the mistake is not being adaptable to the curveball. You've got to stay open and adaptable to what's going to happen. And when it does happen, give yourself grace, lean into the pain. Don't run from the pain, lean into the pain. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but the sooner you lean into the pain, the sooner it will wash over you and you can keep going. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel, but don't stay stuck there. You can visit. You can visit unhappy land, but you got to work your way to happy land. And you're going to have lots of journeys in both. You're going to be really happy at times and you're going to be really unhappy at times. And just know that that is life and everything in between. Absolutely. Just be okay with it.
Love that. Thank you so much, Vivian, for being on our show today in Life and in Between. For all of our listeners, I would like you to purchase her book uh, because it's a great Christmas gift, and I think it's a gift for yourself and for others. And for those that have not subscribed yet, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon. You can find us on all the social media platforms. Look for Vivian also as well, and look for her articles that you actually write. You write. So, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being a part of this wonderful show, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much.